Hey guys, long time no see, huh? Hope you guys are all doing well. I am getting started on a new project, and I thought I would, I don't know, this will be sort of a couple different, couple different subjects in one video, I guess. So I've had these family circle do-it-yourself encyclopedias for quite a while, and I've often wondered what I was going to do with them. I've got 9 of them altogether, and I don't remember where they came from, probably from a thrift store. And I really like I really love the interior, the pages. I like the colors and well, this one's not that colorful, but I like all of the diagrams and the instructions and all that kind of stuff. So I'll probably go through these and pull out some pages that I want to use, maybe in these. So I'm thinking what I might do is some kind of like a lap book or something like that. And maybe do, I don't know, like some pull out notebooks or things like that to go in them. So what I thought I would do, these were kind of interesting to to deal with. The spines are really narrow, and these books, I don't honestly think that they've ever even been uh opened. I mean, the spines are all basically uncracked or anything. But one thing I can see is that they're not glued to the spine. So that kind of helps because these spines are a little bit too narrow for me, for my taste. So I thought I've done 2 already, and I thought I would just kind of bring you guys along on my struggle to gut these, and then I want to show you what I'm going to do to make them work for what I want to do. So I'm just going to very carefully cut right along the book block, and I'm trying to be super careful not to cut into the this part, like right along here where the book board is attached to the spine, um because I want to use that. And let me just explain to you why I want to do it this way, because I want the spine to be wider. So what I was going to do is try to, rather than just cutting the front and back cover off of the spine, I'm going to try just open these up a little bit further and sort of widen the spine. I'll show you what I mean here in just a minute. So see, I'm just trying to carefully cut this. I probably need a new blade on here. Hang on. It's a good idea to use a new blade when you're doing this kind of stuff. Yeah, much better. Once you get the first one done, then the second one is a lot easier. Just really don't want to cut that paper. Okay, there we go. Now there's a piece of chipboard in the spine that I'm also going to pull out. But once you get the first one done, then it's pretty easy to do the second one. So you can just fold the whole cover back and come at it from that side. Okay, there we go. So like I said, the first side is the most challenging. Okay, so this is pretty heavy. This would be the flyleaf page, I guess you would call it. Um, so I'm just cutting that off right alongside the book board. Okay. So I've got to kind of loosen it up on both sides. And I don't want to necessarily tear it all the way off, but here, let me try this. This worked pretty good last time. There we go. So I just want to peel this back a little bit so I can cut that, free that, where this paper is glued to the spine. And the book is so old that the glue kind of sort of cracks. You know what I mean? See, I'm trying to get that off so that I can sort of loosen up this part that's been creased down. I hope this is making sense. Okay, so the reason that I'm going through all this hassle and not just cutting the book board away from the spine is because I think it's actually easier than putting in a new spine in the books. Um, I think I can just cut this down like that now. Just kind of cleaning this up a little bit. Okay, that looks pretty good. So I don't want I want all of this paper that's on here clear of this section of the center part, okay? So that when it comes time to lining the spine again, I can actually get my fabric or paper or what. See, I actually cut it a little bit right there, but I think it's going to be okay. Yeah, I accidentally sliced it a little bit right there. Okay, and then the next thing is that I want to cut this little bit of paper right here. Cut that off. Okay. Trying to expose this piece of chipboard so that I can peel out as much of it as possible. Okay. Then I can just cut that off right there. Okay, so the whole point is so that I can make this spine a little bit wider. And I'll be adding a new piece of chipboard in here that's a little bit wider than the one that was in there, so that so that I can potentially have my book maybe that wide. See what I'm saying? And since these are going to be like lap books, I'm not going to be binding pages or signatures into this spine. Um, so I don't necessarily have to worry about maintaining a gap here for the book block, if you catch my drift. Okay. Oh my gosh, that took 10 minutes. So anyway, I need to do that to all of these. Some will be easier than others. This one was kind of a pain to do. This one was really easy actually. So uh, this was the first one I did, and of course it was the easiest one. If I do happen to cut through this paper right here, this is really heavy duty paper, which is part of the reason I want to try to save it, because I think it'll just help with the structure of the journal. I'm going to call it a journal. Um, so I wanted to try to preserve that, even though everything is going to be covered up. The, the cover, the inside, and everything is just going to all be covered. And I just think it's really nice to be able to just repurpose something like this, um, because it's perfectly good material to use. And these covers, they're not necessarily my style. You know what I mean? As far as like, you know, keeping them keeping them the way they are. I know some people are probably going to say, "Oh, I love those covers," but it's not really they're not really my cup of tea. So it's kind of like a ready-made cover. So I just need to get that spine out and make it a little bit wider. So that's how I'm going to do it. All right. And then I promised you guys that I would talk to you about a couple things. First of all, transferring napkins onto cardstock, and a way, some way to do that so that there's no wrinkles or air bubbles and that kind of stuff. And I've been able to do it with quite a few of these napkins. This is not a napkin, that's something else. But I've been pretty successful with quite a few of these napkins. And these are just on uh, like a cream color cardstock. Okay. So they've worked out really well, and I'm using spray glue to do it. So so let me just kind of give you I'll just show you my process. And this is how these are those really pretty kind of Japanese style napkins. This is how those came out, and I just love it. This one, same napkin, but I glued it onto just craft paper, and just gives it a little bit different look, a little bit more like more vintagey, I guess. So anyway, but that's really thin paper. So first thing is you need to separate your napkins and take off the front, just the front piece, the front layer. Okay. Um, I don't, I already did that on all of these napkins, but if you're, not familiar with using napkins for crafting and that kind of thing, um, the easiest way, they always have 3 layers on them. So, well, most of the time they have 3 layers. So the easiest way to get that top layer off is is you turn it over and just use a piece of tape. Just use a piece of tape, and you just touch it down on on that paper and kind of rip it a little bit, and it'll just rip that one layer, and then you can peel it off, and then just do the same thing for the second layer, and that way you can, you can get to that that layer that you want that has the graphics on it or the design on it. Rather than trying to, sit there and like separate it from the corner, it can be a real pain to do that. Okay, and then I ironed them. Um, just because I wanted to get rid of the creases. There's always going to be creases in your napkins because they've been folded for a long time. Um, so I've been using the Elmer's spray adhesive. Why does that look black? That is so weird. Hold on. I think I have something weird on my there. That was weird. Um, this is the Elmer's spray adhesive. I bought a can of the Aleene's tacky spray. I haven't used it yet, but I'm pretty sure it's going to work the same. Um, whatever you decide to use, you want one that says permanent, that it dries permanent. Um, so this one says it here. This one says it here. Permanent all-purpose spray adhesive. Um, it does dry pretty fast. Um, so you don't have a lot of time to work with it, but it's enough to get the, it doesn't dry in like 10 seconds, but you don't have a whole ton of time. So I built I took apart a box. I'm just going to put it under the camera a little bit. I just pulled one side down on a relatively large Amazon box. So I had, like an area to spray in the house. If you're going to do a whole ton of these, I don't recommend doing it in the house. But if you're just going to do a couple, then I don't think it's, terrible. Okay, so I'm using it's a relatively thin cardstock. I don't know what weight it is exactly, but it's not super heavy. I just want to make these, I just want to kind of turn them into scrapbook paper, I guess is what my goal is. So, I'll take my napkin. I might as well do another one of those. Um, I did buy some larger cardstock. Again, this is pretty lightweight cardstock. I think it's like 67 pound or something like that. Um, and this is ledger size. So this is like two US like letter size pages. So if you fold this in half, it's 8.5 by 11. So it's 11 by 17. And this works really great for like the bigger size napkins, although it's, it's a little bit narrower than a 12 by 12. Anyway, so I'm just doing a 12 by 12 because it fits pretty easily on this napkin. Okay. So anyway, so you want to lay that face down on your table. Take your paper over to your spray box. Shake the glue. And then you want to spray it and then hold it kind of up like that in the center and lay it down. It actually grabs pretty nicely. And then I've been using This bone folder, you could probably use any kind of flat, soft. You want something that's not like really sharp. Um, and just work it out to the edges. And there's hardly any wrinkles in this at all. And what I've actually been able to do is sort of burnish this down because you get that like that texture around the border where they actually kind of emboss the layers of the napkin together to get them to stick together. So I've been able to pretty much eliminate that around the edges just using this thing to kind of burnish it. Just real gently going around the edges and rubbing out all those little fine kind of bumps. So if you have a whole bunch of napkins that you've picked up on live sales and off of Etsy or that you bought in stores, or I know Tuesday Morning used to always have great napkins. Um, this is a nice way to use them, and it's just kind of like making your own scrapbook paper. And then you want to go around and just cut the edges off. Oops. Trying not to cut into the paper at all. But since that glue dries pretty fast, um, my scissors don't really get gummy or anything like that. And I think you could probably use it pretty much right away. Anyway, so there we go. That's how I've been doing that with my napkins. And just kind of making my own scrapbook paper basically. And I've done the same thing with some other paper, with some other things that were sort of fragile, but I wanted to be able to use in more utilitarian ways, like for making tags or journal covers or whatever. And um that was why I actually bought that ledger size cardstock, was because I had some things that like maps, like in atlas pages and stuff like that. I've just been gluing them onto this. I did with a glue stick, see, and it kind of worked. Like, I don't know, like that spray glue just works really well. Like, this is done with spray glue. And no, I mean, it's perfectly smooth. Um, I'm just saying, it's just a really nice way to adhere these like thinner book pages and things like that onto some cardstock just to make it a little bit more durable. Because like this is a book page from this German uh botanical book that I have, and the paper is really fragile. So let me see if I can find one. Hold on. Here we go. So this is one of the pages. And it's really old. I mean, this book is like, I don't know, 90 years old. And so the paper is kind of fragile. It's kind of thin. So I just wanted to find a way to, you know, use it in a little bit and make it more durable. So anyway, and then also Other things that I think that's a really good thing to use for is like wrapping paper. If you have a bunch of wrapping paper, like I have some old vintage wrapping paper um that I'd like to uh just glue onto some cardstock just to use it and make it more util because I just never use it because it's so thin, and just to make it more durable and usable. So anyway, so I've got a bunch of napkins and like even this is that decoupage paper, that Tim Holtz paper. You could just glue this down to some cardstock, and I just think that would be awesome. So I put a whole bunch of stuff in this bag that I wanted to try doing that with. This is just some tissue paper, some patterned tissue paper, um, rice paper, like I said, book pages, even that roll, um, the stuff. This comes on a roll, Tim Holtz. I wanted to try just gluing some of this stuff down onto cardstock so that maybe I can use it in more creative ways. That's all. Um, and then people were also curious about doing book cloth. So I thought I would show you guys how I've been doing that and making my own book cloth. Um, if you don't know what I'm talking about, what book cloth is, it's the fabric that bookbinders use when binding books. And you see books that are completely covered in fabric, and that's what it is. It's book cloth. It's fabric that has a paper backing on it so that you can glue it down and the glue doesn't come through the fabric, and it adheres really well to uh like chipboard or bookboard. Okay, so I have some fabrics that I thought you know would come in handy to use with this little project that I'm working on. Let me just plug in my iron. So I always do this kind of stuff right at my desk. I have some old these are some like terry cloth Turkish style bath towels, and I just do it right on my desk. So first thing you want to do, find your fabric, find whatever fabric you want to use. You want to iron it so it's nice and flat. And then you can buy, like at Joann's and places like that. I think Michael's probably sells it. It's called Heat and Bond, something like that. I think that's what it's called. Um, but I don't recommend it because it's really expensive. Go on Amazon. I'll leave the link in the description. So the Heat and Bond, it's really only like $2 or $3 for a package of it, but you only get like a yard, and it's about 12 inches wide, maybe 13 inches. I don't know. Let me see how wide this is. Um, but the stuff that I found on Amazon, yeah, this is like just shy of 12 inches. The stuff I found on Amazon, I searched for iron-on fabric adhesive or something like that. And this is what I found. So this comes in a roll that's like almost 11 yards long. And it was a package of 2 rolls for like $20. So that's pretty cheap. That's like less than half the price of the Heat and Bond that you can buy at Joann's. So anyway, so get some of that, or just get some Heat and Bond if I think that's what it's called. Anyway, so you don't want your fabric to be too wide because it's really not great to like piece these together. So like you could do a wider piece of fabric. So like you could do a piece here and then another piece over here, but it's really difficult to get that seam where those two meet um to get adhered onto the fabric without first of all getting the adhesive all over your iron and making sure that you don't have any gaps. So I don't recommend doing anything wider than that 12 inches. So, but for the most part, if you're using it for bookbinding or for, crafting purposes, you don't need anything really much wider than that. Anyway, so I cut the piece of adhesive just slightly smaller than my fabric. Okay. So there's two sides on here. So the side that feels a little rubbery is the glue side. And so you want the glue side to be down against the wrong side of your fabric. Okay. So you want the right side of your fabric down. Oh, I'm gonna iron this really quick. My iron's hot now. I always just give it a little bit of an iron. Okay. So you want the wrong side of your fabric up, and you want the adhesive side of your heat and bond or whatever down. Okay. So then usually I have this set up a little bit wider, but okay. So then you just want to iron it on. You don't want to hold it in one spot for too long because if you do, the adhesive is going to melt through your fabric. Okay. You can you can tell when it's stuck on there because first of all, the pattern kind of pops out a little bit more if you're using like a patterned paper, and you can see that it's stuck. It's going to get ironed again anyway, so it doesn't have to be like really super adhered on here. You just need it to be pretty much adhered. I don't know if that makes sense. Okay, because it is going to get ironed again. So this needs to cool down. This has to cool off completely. Okay, so I'm going to set this over here. Hopefully it'll cool off quickly while I talk to you about this stuff. So so the paper that's on the back of book cloth is really thin. It's pretty thin paper. It's very flexible. So you really don't want to use like cardstock, and you really kind of don't even want to use like printer paper. You want something pretty thin. So I I I bought this catio for the cats last summer, and every single piece for that catio came wrapped in this paper, and it doesn't look like straw paper. Anyway, so but it's really thin, and so I kept most of it that wasn't like ripped and stuff, and I've been using this to back um my book cloth. Okay, so I've got a bunch of that saved. Um and then just any of the like Amazon packing paper is is a really good thickness. Okay. If you don't have any of that, you could use something like masking paper that you can buy at like Home Depot. You can buy this in the paint section. This is what painters use to like mask off windows and stuff like that, but they don't want to get paint on if they're using a sprayer. This paper is pretty thin too. You could use that, and it's really cheap too. Um, and then one other thing, you can even just buy uh brown. This is what I use when I ship journals. Um, just some kind of thin packing paper that you bought at a store or off of Amazon. Anyway, so this is my this packing paper is probably my top choice. And it's nice because it's like the right width too, you know. So anyway, I like to cut it off so it's pretty straight. And then gonna estimate, hoping this is slightly longer than what I really need. What I usually do is I save up a bunch of my packing paper. Um, this is packing paper too. Works great. It's real thin. It's like newsprint. Um, you could even use book pages, I think, you know? Anyway, so I save up a whole bunch and then I iron them. I iron them and that way they take up less space. And you could even glue your napkins onto this kind of paper too, and that would work great. Okay, let's see. Did I do it too long? I think my paper is like just it's just barely too short, but I'm gonna try to make it work. You want your paper to really to be slightly longer than the adhesive, mostly because you don't want to get that glue on your iron. Okay, so this is, believe it or not, this is still kind of warm. So, but I'm going to try to peel it off anyway. So then you just want to carefully peel off. Yeah, see, if it's still warm, it's a little bit more difficult to peel this paper off. There we go. And then save this paper too, because this has all kinds of great uses as well. Just saying. Okay, so lay that down. You can see the adhesive is pretty stuck on there. Okay, and then I'm going to try like, there we go. I'm trying to line this up as best as I can with the adhesive that's on my fabric. Okay. And then you just want to iron. If you have adhesive sticking out from under your paper there, like a little bit, you really don't want to lay your iron on it. It it'll stick to your iron and cause all kinds of issues. Anyway, you want to give it like with a hot iron, probably I would say altogether about 20 seconds in each spot. So if you're moving the iron around, you want to average about 20 seconds per, maybe not that long, maybe like 10 seconds. Anyway, you can pretty much tell when it's stuck down. I mean, it's stuck on there. So, okay, but you don't want to do it too long because if you do, the glue will start to melt through the fabric. Okay. So I haven't actually ever had that happen, and I've done quite a few of these, but I hear that that could be an issue. So just saying. And then what I usually do is I come back, I get out my roller cutter and like a quilting ruler, and I trim these off um so that they're nice and squared off on the edges and that kind of thing. Just makes it a little bit easier when it comes time to using it, so that so you can measure it and almost use it like craft paper. If you don't have a roller cutter, um, like a circular, what do they call them? If you don't have, what do they call those? It's always called a cutter like this. Um, then some good fabric scissors, and just try to cut these as straight as you can, you know. Now, if your paper is a little bit like, so my paper, I don't think the paper was necessarily the same width as the adhesive. So like I have this little tiny strip along the edge where the paper is not actually stuck onto the paper or onto the fabric. So I'm just gonna trim just inside that little border, because I want to make sure that every bit of the fabric that I'm making into book cloth actually has adhesive on it. Just because that could cause trouble for me later on down the road. Okay. So that's really how I've been doing it. And um it's working pretty well. I mean, I've done lots of lots of different fabrics. As far as like the weight of the fabric, um this is an upholstery fabric, and I think, it works great. I did bind like a small little notebook using similar fabric to this and the same, you know, type of book cloth. This is offcuts from a project that I, you know, just did. Um, I think this is some other kind of tissue paper actually that's really thin. This is that paper from the catio. This is the um this paper. So all kinds of different paper that you can use on the back of them. But it works really well. Like it's I mean, I don't know. I just think it's great. Because I'll tell you, book cloth, first of all, it's kind of boring. Like it just comes in like solid colors, and it's expensive. So I don't know. I even did some Camp quilt. So this will just be a nice way for me to, um, use fabric to cover journals, and an easy, effective way to use a lot of these fabrics that I love, that I always think would be great to cover journals with. But um, I always think it's such a pain in the neck to glue fabric onto, book board. So this just makes it a lot easier and a lot more fun. And it looks nice. Like looks it looks professional, you know? And then I even did some just solid colors. So I don't know if I would use really super heavy fabrics. Like I have this stuff right here that is pretty heavy. I mean, I don't know. It might work. I think I'm gonna just try it and see how it works. If the fabric that you're trying to use is really textured on the wrong side, then I don't know if that's the best choice because you really want that glue to adhere well. And you also want the paper to adhere really well to it. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna try this out and see how it works because it's really pretty fabric. See with the poppies. Isn't that pretty? Anyway, um, yeah. So that's what I'm working on, and I will come back and potentially make some more videos when I get going on these guys. Um, just maybe do, I don't know, maybe we'll call it a series. Maybe we'll call it a video series. I haven't made any kinds of like craft along, craft with me kinds of videos for quite a while. So that might be fun. Anyway, so I'm thinking about doing a little bit of a live sale uh sometime this week, maybe Thursday or Friday. It's Monday right now. But I'm still kind of going through stuff and trying to figure out what I'm going to do. So it might actually turn into just a short little offering video where I'm offering like a bundle or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, we'll see. Um, or, you never know. Crazier things have happened. I could just do some kind of spontaneous live sale. So anyway, watch this space. Okay, guys, I love you. Let me know if you make some book cloth. I'm curious to see how you guys get along, you know, making that because I just think it's great. And I'm gonna definitely use some on these projects. So or on this project. So yeah. Anyway, okay. I'm going. I love you guys. Bye for now.